Hi, welcome to the exam collection, a weekly video of about 6 exam questions that you might find towards the end of a foundation paper. We've been doing calculator and non-calculators. I will just say that the methods you're going to see are the methods that I use in my class with my students and in my courses. Yours may be slightly different, and that's obviously fine. There's usually more than one way to do things in maths. Just make sure that your solution has all the workings out to evidence where that came from, and you will be getting full marks. Okay, so we're going to hit the pause, have a go at this, and press play when you're ready. Okay, so the first question is just testing our knowledge of the rule for this particular type of indice question. What we have is powers inside the bracket being raised by a power. The rule for this is to multiply. So C becomes 2 times 4, which is 8, and K becomes 5 times 4, which is 20. You would need to get both bits right for that mark. Our expand and simplify, we use crab's claw. So 3x times 4x is 12x squared. Be mindful of any negatives. 3x times minus 1 is minus 3x. We've got 5 times 4 is 20x. And again, careful of that negative. 5 times negative 1 is going to give us that minus 5. The middle will collect up. So my final answer is 12x squared. If I'm at minus 3 and I add 20, I'm going to end up at positive 17. And that would be the answer for this one. Now, this is a big question we're being asked to solve. Now, if we want to know what x is, we get it on its own. That's kind of our mantra. That's what we tell ourselves all the time. This is a little bit trickier because we've got x in 2 places and one of the x's has a power. This is a quadratic, and quadratics are dealt with in a very, very different way. And we're certainly not going to be hopping. We're going to be factorizing. So the first step to solving this is to factorize, which basically means put it back into brackets. 3 terms, the general rule is there'll be 2 brackets. We drop the x in at the front, and then we look at the signs. We've got neg, neg. So we're going to be putting in neg plus. When it starts negative, we switch the second sign. If this is something that you know you need to learn and revise, then I would strongly recommend going through to the how to do videos, where there's a much more in-depth way of learning how to do this rather than just watching a solution being modeled to you. So 10 is the number that we're using. What multiplies to make 10 is 2 and 5. I want to make 3. This will help me make 3. So I know it's that pair. Now I need to be very, very careful. It's not just 3 I need to make, it's minus 3. So my 5 and 2 need to go in the right place to make me a minus 3. And minus 5 plus 2 is minus 3. So the 5 will go in front of the minus and the 2 is there. Now what I need to do is consider each individual bracket. I need to make them equal 0. Something minus 5 is 0. X would need to be 5 for that to be true. Something plus 2 has to equal 0, and x minus 2 would make that true. Same digits, opposite signs. And as I say, there is a much more in-depth video available if you want to take a look at that. So my answer is x equals 5 or x equals minus 2. Okay, next question. Have a read through. There we go. Have a read through and press play when you're ready. Okay, so this is a worded error interval question. So 37 is the rounded number, but what is the range of numbers that could have rounded to 37? So we use a number line to help us with this. So 37, 36, 38 is my number line. Halfway points are the numbers that I put here. So I've got 3, 36.5 and 37.5. And you can see that we're not saying it could equal that, because obviously 37.5 rounds up, but we are saying it can equal that. Okay. These are all calculator questions if I haven't already told you that. So please do use your calculator. Read through, have a go, press play when you're ready. I will just say before you pause, there's 6 marks. 6 marks tells you there's a lot of work in this question. So good luck. And then, yeah, press play when you're ready. Okay, so let's start taking some of the information that we need. So he's using flour, butter, and jam in that ratio. So flour, butter, jam in the ratio of 8:4:5. We've got the table showing the cost of these ingredients per kilogram. So really important that we've clocked that. And then it says the total weight of the flour, butter, and jam for each jam roll is 425 grams. So we must be aware that we are in different units for the time being. The first thing we need to do is think about the total weight. If I mix 8, 4, and 5 together, I would have a weight of 17. But a full jam roll has a weight of 425. So this is our invisible column method. What do I times 17 by to get to 425? It is 25. So I'm going to times through on this side by 25. Then that's going to give me some values. So if my flour would be 200, butter would be 100, and 125 for my jam. So that's the weight of each ingredient for one jam roll. We got to work out the cost for 200 jam rolls. So the next thing to do is to take all of those and times them by 200. So I've now got 40,000, 20,000, and 25,000. So this is grams. We're still in our grams. So it probably makes a lot of sense now to get this down into kilograms. So kilograms means we need to divide by 1,000, which is now going to bring me out to 40, 20, and 25. So the numbers are coming out quite nice. Now I'm going to go to my table to check out the cost. So I've got 40 kilograms of flour. One is 40 pence. So I'm going to times through, by 0.4 and keep everything in pounds. So when I times that through, I get 16. I've got my butter, which is 20 kilograms. That's £2.50 for every kilogram. So I multiply that through and the butter is going to cost me this. I've got 25 kilograms of jam, which I've got to times through by 1, which is going to give me 25. So I just need to add those to get my final cost. So it's going to cost £91 to make 200 jam rolls. If you got that right, really well done. Obviously, you may have gone through it in a slightly different way. Perfectly fine. We just use something called the invisible column when we're working in class. Okay, next question. We haven't seen an angles question in the exam series for a while. So hit pause, press play when you're ready. Okay, so the wording here is really just showing you all the detail in the diagram. So we're being told about the fact that these lines are straight and the AC and the DG are parallel, and we can see it. We've got our parallel symbols here, okay? EF equals BF, okay? And again, we can see that there's EF and there's BF, and they've given us these dashed lines to tell us that they are equal. They've given us an angle to start us off, 50 degrees, and told us to work out X. The other thing to note and be really mindful of is it says give reasons for your answers. Now, I strongly, strongly advise doing that at every step. Every single thing you do, give a reason for, because then you don't have to go back and think about it. You've just naturally done it as you've gone. So the first thing that I am going to clock is the fact that if I've got two of these edges equal, then I've got an isosceles triangle. And these point to the two that are the same. So if that's 50, that's 50. So I'm going to mark that on. And before I do anything else, I am going to write down why I did what I did. Okay, so angle EBF. So start here, EBF, those two lines make that angle. EBF equals 50 degrees because of an isos triangle. Okay, now I'm going to do the next thing. I'm going to find, I'd still, you know, I really want, my eyes really want to look at this, but I don't have enough information. I don't have angles on a straight line or anything like that helping me. So what I'm going to do, and this is not the only way to do it, and that's why angles is always a hard one to do in this way, because you may have seen and spotted something different. But I'm going to find this angle here. Because I've got my triangles, it's really easy to find this one because angles in a triangle add up to 180. So 180, take away the 250s, which is 100, gives me 80 degrees. That is 80 degrees, okay? And I'm going to write straight line equals 180 degrees. That 180 appeared for a reason. And that's what they want us to explain. It came because of, what am I saying straight line for? It's not a straight line at all, is it? Apologies. Oh, honestly, it's angles in a triangle, isn't it? So triangles equal 180 degrees. My poor brain. Okay, so let's just recap so that that mistake is really, really clear. The 180 take away 100 to give me the 80 for angle EFB has happened because angles in a triangle are 180 degrees. Okay, now to finish this off, I am going to be using the parallel lines. So I've got this parallel line and this parallel line here, and this angle is joined through a Z shape. And I hope you can see that because I've got a lot of color going on now. So X is 80 degrees. So X equals 80 degrees because alternate angles are equal. Okay, so our Z shape, which links angles from each parallel line, is our alternate angle. That's the correct language to be using. All right, so hopefully I haven't completely put you off. I'm not going to edit it. I could, but I'm not going to, because you know we are human, all of us, and we make mistakes, and I do it all the time. So there's an example, you know, out there for everyone to see. Okay, it's really normal. Just check through what you're doing all the time. Okay, do we have another question? We do. So let's get this one so you can see it. And let's move me out of the way so you can see, there you go, see the whole question. All right, hit pause and press play when you are ready. Okay, so there's a story about snow in the first 50 days in winter. And the probability is being built on the diagram. Now, one of the things that we must remember when it comes to tree diagrams, and they're calling it a decision tree diagram, don't be put off by that additional word of decision. Tree diagrams are tree diagrams regardless, okay? Now, we know that the branches that come together in that V shape should add to 1. Probability adds to 1. This question has been given to us in decimals. Keep it in decimals, don't change it. So this would need to be 0. 0.8 to get that to equal 1. This combination here means this would need to be 0.3 and this would need to be 0.05. And we'll get 2 marks for completing that. We're then being asked to work out the probability that it will snow and the buses will not run. Okay, so we are going to follow a pathway. I'll choose a different color. So this is, it will snow. So it's got that number on it. And this is the buses will not run, which has got this number on it. So you collect the numbers and they get multiplied together. We multiply it across. It's a calculator question. You don't need to take any risks by doing that by hand. And the answer is 0.06. Okay, last question. Hit pause and press play when you're ready. Okay, so I'm being asked to work out the value of x. So let me find x and think about it. X is an angle. So I'm being asked to find an angle. I've got some edges to help me, but I certainly don't have an angle up here. So I can't use the 180 take away what I know kind of approach. I'm looking at a right angled triangle. It can't be Pythag because Pythag just does edges. It doesn't do anything with angles. So that now tells me that I can be confident this is trig. So I'm going to write down my SOHCAHTOA and then I'm going to label. So that's my opposite, that's my hypotenuse, that's my adjacent. The sides with the information are here and here. So it's A and H, which is my cosine rule. So it's cos theta equals A over H. That's the formula in full. Now I'm going to put what I can from the diagram into the formula. So cos theta is the angle, but the angle is actually what I'm trying to find. That is X. A is 8.3, H is 9.5. Okay, if I want to know what X equals, I've got to get it on its own. I never ever deviate from that rule when I'm trying to find the value of a letter. So if I'm going to get X on its own, cos needs to be picked up and put on the other side. That will leave me my X. It can't land as cos. Nothing ever lands as exactly as it was. It always lands as its opposite. So an add lands as a take and a square root lands as a square, etc., etc. So cos has got to land as its opposite. The opposite is cos minus 1. And you'll see the two are on the same button together on your calculator. So I'm going to be doing cos to the minus 1, 8.3 over 9.5. That's going into my calculator, which is giving me 29.1103. Now check back in with that question. It wants 1 decimal place. So I cut box. That's certainly not big enough to change anything. So my answer is 29.1 degrees because I'm looking for that angle. Okay, that was the last one for this particular video. Hopefully you are really benefiting from this. It's genuinely practice makes perfect. You can always redo these as well. Don't think just because you've done one. If you haven't done one for 4 weeks, go back and redo it. How much of it can you remember? It's really good exam practice. And I will hopefully see you for the next one next week.